she talks about is stay off the vritti train. And this is a, very fabulous concept. And I just love this whole chapter. So the verse is that yoga chitta vritti nirodha. Okay, so which means that yoga is the process of stilling your churning, changing mind, right? So this is the second Yoga Sutra, Yoga Chitti Vritti Nirodha. So as we discussed, yoga helps in the process of mind control. And then we are talking about this word called chitta. Chitta is nothing but, it comprises of different layers of our mind. Okay, so in this interpretation, what she has shared is that chitta is made up of 3 layers: manas, buddhi, and ahamkara. I read another book written by the Bihar School of Yoga Publications, where there they talk about the higher manas, and chitta belongs as one of the components. So there are some variations in how this word chitta is interpreted. But for now, as per this book, chitta is made up of 3 layers of our mind. First is the manas. Manas is nothing but it takes in data through all the senses, right? So this is called as the lower mind. So it receives inputs through 5 knowledge gathering senses, which are called as jnanendriya. So all our 5 senses, they come under this category called jnanendriya. So our manas gets all this data. Then using those data, buddhi processes it and it makes a decision, and it says, hey manas, execute this order. So then manas executes that order through 5 action performing senses, which are called as the karmendriya. So karmendriya, again, the organs, or they call it as senses, but they're actually organs, like speaking, grasping through our hands, moving through our legs, eliminating and procreating. So all these come under karmendriya. So this is the role of the manas. Manas doesn't do any analysis, any decision making. All it does is collects information, collects data, and then executes that order received through buddhi. So that is the purpose of manas. Then we move on to buddhi. Buddhi is the decision making or the intellect side of mind. This is called as the higher mind. Ahamkara is the ego. So ego plays a very important role in the decisions made by buddhi. So the role of ego is that it separates the individual from everyone and everything else around. So that is where ahamkara also helps in self-protection. That is the key, but sometimes it goes overboard as well, and it interferes in the logical decisions of buddhi. So the way to understand this is a story that you might have heard in other places as well. So think of a chariot. Okay, so the chariot is our body. The 5 senses that we have are the 5 horses. Okay, and these 5 horses each have their own reins. The reins is the manas. The charioteer who's sitting and riding the chariot, that is the buddhi. And the one who is riding the chariot, who is sitting behind, is our Atman, or the true self. So if the charioteer, the buddhi, it has a strong hold of the reins, right, the manas, then the chariot will move smoothly in the right direction. But if the buddhi is not holding the reins properly, then the horses take over, the senses take over. Then the horses would want to go in different directions, right? So then you'll not be able to move forward. So that is where buddhi becomes important, where it helps us to discern right and wrong. It helps us to not fall into the traps of the manas. So this is a way to understand how these 3 layers work together as a team. We are then going to move into this thing called vrittis. Yoga, chitta, now we are talking about vritti. Vritti is nothing but all those thoughts, ideas, and emotions that we keep generating in all these 3 layers. It could be inputs coming from our senses. It could be some decisions that are happening in our buddhi. It could also be that ahamkara's involvement and creating a certain emotion, right? All these three layers generate different thoughts and ideas, and those are all called as vrittis. The equivalent comparison to understand this is that think of chitta as a calm, peaceful lake. Okay. These vrittis are nothing but those waves that keep coming on the lake. Sometimes these waves can be so, tumultuous, where it just keeps coming very wild and hitting the shore, right? And sometimes it could bring out mud from the below layer as well. But if these vrittis are not there, if these waves are not there, then the lake is calm, the chitta is calm. Then you will be able to see the reflection of different things around you. You will get a clear perspective. So this is why we need to focus on reducing these vrittis so that the chitta lake is clear. So the final word in this sutra is nirodha. Nirodha means stilling all the vrittis so that the number of waves will start to reduce. So the way to understand this is that how do we go about stilling these vrittis, right? Nirodha. We have to still it. It shouldn't affect us, right? So the equivalent example she gives, and this example is very much etched in my mind now, because it's related to trains. So I love trains, and this example just, made me understand this concept even better. So imagine that you are in a railway station, okay? Many trains keep coming and going, right? You're just sitting on the platform. So each thought that comes to you is like a train, okay? It's a vritti train. So you're just going to sit on the platform, just observe the train that is coming and going, but you don't get on board, okay? Don't board that train. Just sit and observe each train coming and going. So what does this mean? When you start to observe these vrittis, you will start to identify what are those emotional triggers, what are those behaviors, situations that impact you so much. So I had read this chapter, I think a couple of days, maybe last Friday or something. And then on Sunday, I saw this video. I'm not going to talk about that video anymore. I have written about it enough on my Instagram page. But what happened is that when I saw that video, I felt quite disturbed, quite troubled by whatever was being exposed. Maybe the way it was exposed, I didn't expect it. It was quite shocking. So I could have just observed and left it at that. But I onboarded the train, that vritti train. And, it became so, it was impacting me. So those thoughts were running in my mind. So this is how we unconsciously onboard our vritti train. Because there are certain areas where we get triggered, right? So when we keep observing which vritti train we board, then we'll know what are our patterns, okay? And the other point that the author brings up is that any strong emotion, be it a positive emotion or a negative emotion, it ends up clouding our buddhi, okay? So if you have watched this movie, Kadalan, old movie, so there, Prabhudeva will say, whatever emotion you feel, you wait for 5 minutes before you react to it, right? So that is the exact principle that is talked about here as well, where any strong emotion we feel, it will cloud our buddhi. It will come in the way of the proper decision making. So if you feel any strong emotion, don't make any decision at that point. Let it rest. Let it marinate, and then when you are calm, then you make the decision. Then you allow buddhi to make the decision. So when you start observing your vrittis, observing your vritti trains, and not which ones you are getting, pushed to board, which ones you are avoiding, then you will consciously decide, okay, I'm not going to onboard this train anymore. Then you will start responding better to your triggers. Eventually, you will experience the state called samatvam or equanimity, where whatever be the situation, whatever be the train that is, very compulsive, like you're feeling like you want to get on board that train, but you will resist. You will say, no, I don't want to get on board this train. Then you'll stay more calm and composed in every situation that comes your way. So that is like, the ultimate outcome of yoga chitta vritti nirodha.